Okay, alright. See, there's a few things rearranged. See, we're on full face cam because that has the starting screen. Right. And we're back. And we are back. Another week. Another week has gone by. And here we are with another stream. I have the JPEG ready to go, sort of. I need to actually put it on the thing and get it ready. That is not the JPEG. Put the JPEG on here. And then, we're gonna leave it invisible for a minute. Uh Another week. I was so motivated to, just jump right into the topic of today. And then, a few conversations happened. Nothing, nothing disheartening. Good stuff, which is kind of antithetical to today's topic. And then I thought, oh, I've got a few hours. Let's play some more Duet Night Abyss. The story hasn't changed so far from what I experienced in the second beta test. Oh, but it is just. Oh, it's so. It is so filled with despair. Uh, it is just bursting at the seams with despair. It's nice. It's really, really nice. A nice change of pace from normal, gotcha game-esque storylines, which, typically have a silver lining. Yeah, no, now that I think, yeah, most of them, now that I think about it. I mean, Path to Nowhere, Path to Nowhere's on and off with it, but DNA does things a little bit differently. It's definitely, it's definitely my favorite game this year. Hmm. And, oh, it is heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking. Even on the second go around. Ah, well, no sense. I'm not going to spoil it, so I shouldn't linger on it. If you want to know, play the game yourself. It's, thus far it is quite easy. So there's no excuse to not be able to get through the story and experience the same crushing heartbreak that I did twice now. Good lord. But I suppose we should get into topic, shouldn't we? And before we get into topic, we should start the cigar, of course. Need to rearrange some things on my desk. I've moved things around. I had to fix the bathtub drain today, and I did that with a screwdriver and a pair of tweezers. Because it's what I had on hand to solve the problem, and solve it I did. Did cost me a kitchen towel, though. Damn thing still isn't dry. It's been 2 days. Then again, it's not exactly, this isn't exactly a warm environment. So, not really conducive to evaporation. This one doesn't have much of a scent to it. Also, I realize I am lean. Really, I need to remember to adjust based on where the mic is. The mic needs to not be in frame, and this thing needs to be needs to be where it is in the frame, so that way, when I lean over, I'm not just like, leaning into the, where the JPEG's gonna be. I couldn't find a decent JPEG for this one, so we had to, just do a bad paint job on it, as you can clearly see. But it is acceptable. It is good enough. It is good enough for stream. Also taking more advantage of the starting screen. You know, just I can just let stream go, I can have everything muted, and I can get things set up, but it's going, you know, on time or before, or just a little bit before time. It's magnificent. I do enjoy that. And like I said last time, one step closer to becoming, you know, like all the other, like all the other streamers. I just need to get some background. I just need to get a BGM to play, which I just need to get, I just need to mess around a little bit more with it. You know, among all the billions of other things that I need to get done. That remind, that reminds me. That reminds me, I'd think, oh, I could get all this stuff done tomorrow. No, I'm gonna be stuck at the store all day during my day off because the fucking inspector's lurking about. And we're all pretty much sure that he'll be showing up tomorrow. We don't know when, but most likely. Which means I don't get to enjoy my day off. Phenomenal, phenomenal. It's not like it's not like I'm, tired or anything. Ugh. Although my tiredness is going to get a lot worse, given that I want to, given that I want to quash my debt as quickly as possible. And, I'm a little bit behind my fight on meeting my financial goals for the year. I've decided to get a part-time or try to get a part-time job to, help facilitate getting rid of that debt because I'm tired of it. I'm tired of being shackled by it. These boys at this Domino's have these boys at this place have convinced me of some things. But, I won't dwell. It's another thing that I won't dwell on. Then again, maybe their convincing was rendered easier by the fact that I am, I'm getting older. I say at 28. Then again, almost 30 and nothing to show for it, really kind of hurts a lot. So, we're going to try and unshackle a little bit and, make the, gain our freedom a little bit earlier. Anyway, so what, to get to subject here, also I didn't even get the matches out. We've got the Nika Libre. This is really hard to read because of bad lighting in here. Where's my headlamp? Because I know I used it on the bathtub. Estopila. Yes, much like, I can read cursive. It's just, with the way that this band is, well, not with the way the band is, but with the way the lighting is in here, I can't really see what it says, because only a little part of it is reflective at any one time. So, kind of difficult to read on account of, there being no overhead light in here for no reason. That's probably a cost-cutting thing. I don't know. That's what I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with, whoever built this place was, cutting some costs and decided, oh, no, we don't need overhead lights. That's expensive. We could just not do that and bind one of the outlets to a light switch. Let the tenants figure it out. Let them use like lamps and shit. Yeah, that's great. I like that. I love that. Hmm. Hmm. Ugh. Okay. All right. All right, let's get the matches out and let's get started. Luckily DNA did put me in kind of a melancholy mood because today's topic that I chose last week, because I, wanted to talk about it last week but then forgot, is a bit of a melancholy one. you know. And also, I think it relates to a conversation that I had with the boys earlier today as well. Hmm. It's all connected. It's all connected. You know, the interconnectedness of it all is quite amusing. But I'm not going to wax philosophical about the holistics of life. Well, maybe that's for another time. Then again, also just having a philosophical discussion is not really a one man thing. It's more of a discussion between a minimum of two people. You know. But I digress. You know. Oh, good. Hmm. I didn't get this lid all the way, but what I am tasting is quite woody, with just a hint of spice on the back of the throat. Hmm. It's a lot of woodiness though, and just a hint of spice on the back of the throat. Hmm. You know, kind of a if you're not really paying attention, you'll miss it. Yeah, this will need some. We are going to need a second match to touch this up properly. Hello, Mother. As you can see, things have started. We've been live for about 20 minutes. I'm pretty sure 5 of which was just the starting screen while I was getting things set up. Oh, oh yeah, quite woody to start with. It's not. It's quite nice. Uh, but what is today's topic of conversation? Just to start us off before we get into game, because I do have game plan today. Today's topic is how fame changes people. Specifically, how fame makes people worse. Actually, hold on a second. I'm gonna push my laundry basket a little bit closer to the door so it's not making noise. I know the mic isn't picking it up, but it's annoying. Oops, gonna be. Right. So today's topic: how fame makes people worse. I will be providing a few slightly vague examples, but I think examples that make sense. So, let's not go in chronological order like I planned. Let's instead go in just a rant, just a just the order that I had pondered just now. So, how does fame make people worse? Well, to give one example, is there was a manga artist that you know produced many different things. Uh, and I was particularly attracted to the kind of horror series that he was writing. It was good stuff. It was great. A nice mysterious world where monsters just exist alongside people, and people can turn into monsters, and these are facts of life in this world. It was quite nice. Unfortunately, there haven't been any new chapters, volumes, whatever you want to call it, in some time. uh, said author, garnered, said author produced really good art, really good stories. As such, this, he attracted a lot of attention, a lot of fans. Nowadays, his most recent characters are, you know, purposefully written to be, to have the entirety of their personalities either be, just annoying, just as a personality trait, just annoying, smug, or homosexual. And it's like, okay, great. I understand that's what the normies like, but why that's not what made you good. I eventually got tired of it, so I just gave up on keeping up. It's like, no, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing this anymore. So drop that one. You know, add that to the list of disappointments in my life. Another example is, there was a YouTuber that I used to watch. Um, hey, what's going? Oh wow, both of you are here. Ooh. Anyway, there was a YouTuber I used to watch. He made review type videos. Except they weren't really reviews. It was more just it was more a lot of joke making and satire about the subject that he was reviewing, and it was really good. It was I mean, not every joke landed, but it was funny. Some of it was a little bit esoteric, which I enjoy. I do enjoy esoteric humor. um it was funny, it was good. And there was, and then because he was good, he attracted a lot of attention, and it was clear in the videos that he wanted fame, he wanted attention, you know and he got it. The people he wanted to notice him noticed him. And as soon as they did, the quality of the content immediately took a nosedive. He's more popular than ever. This is the Nica Libre Estopila. It's the image right here on the left side. But the quality of the videos immediately plummeted right into the ground, and it. I was disappointed yet again, but not surprised. And pretty much, there were a couple of videos that he made that were somewhat of a uh true to form. What are you saying BS about? What are you saying BS about? Anyway, and there was a couple videos that he put out where I saw them, but because I still had that smallest sliver, I had that smallest sliver of hope, and those videos sustained that sliver. Uh, and I went, and I of course, I commented, I did my thing, hey, this is great. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't really, I fish up a basic image, but yeah, it's the Nica Libre Estopila from my most recent haul. Anyway, I kept that up. I left my comments like, yeah, this is great. This is a nice return to form. The jokes are funny again, and there's actual, jokes. And then there was just a long time of just, you know, pandering to pandering to the wider audience as opposed to doing what was done well. People, doing this guy went from doing what made him popular to doing what was easy in order to maintain his current level of popularity, even though it's I imagine that the stagnant period fast approached him. I don't know. I don't want to look. Because, you know, once you go to doing what's easy, it is not easy to stop doing what is easy, you know. To if you want to stay out of, doing what is easy, you have to take risks. You have to trip and fall and stumble and, yada yada yada. And once you make it, the appeal of doing that just instantly plummets when, the easy road is opened up for you. Fame to different degrees changes people, and more often than not, it makes them worse. These two, dare I say, artists that that I used to, partake of their art, found fame, and it led to it led to just the horrendous collapse of the quality of their art, to where it's not even art anymore. It's just crap. That's the word. It's just crap now. But, I guess the idea is to move on. Find dig a little bit deeper and find new artists, who are actually creating art, and throw my support behind them. So I guess I better start looking. Guess I better start looking. When I have the free time, that is. I've got many things that I need to do. I gotta go to work. And I gotta tend to my side projects, and hopefully soon, I'll be able to, hopefully soon I'll be going to work again. To a part-time job, so that way I can actually attempt to meet my financial goals this year. And pay for Christmas. I realize some people might be offended by, oh, GZ, you mentioned Christmas in November. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not decorating for Christmas. I don't have the hat on. All right. I'm just saying that. Man, today's topics are going to be a little bit more on the melancholic side, unfortunately. But that happens from time to time. And this is what, I do. It's what happens. Not every stream is going to be, a banger of positivity, but the holiday season the holiday season is one where people come together and celebrate different things. I don't believe in celebration. I work in food service. No holiday. I work in food service. No holiday is worth celebrating. Even the regular, the regular, like, universally acknowledged holidays are awful, because I am busy as hell. Because people are foolish and lazy. And even, the stupid fake political holidays are also awful and not worth celebrating, because I am busy for no good reason other than, people are stupid and lazy. It's been that way it's been that way since I started working in food service, and I absolutely despise every single holiday. Some more than others, but I had this the fake political holidays are the worst. Are the worst. And although I think the holiday that I hate the most, that I would actually say, yes, I hate this holiday. I hate Valentine's Day. But that's just because I'm a miserable, lonely motherfucker. I like the day after Valentine's Day, uh, you know, because of the discount chocolate, but I go after white chocolate because I prefer white chocolate. It's still discounted. I still go for it. I like the day. I mean, Halloween isn't so bad, I guess. Um, but I prefer the day after Halloween because all the candy is on sale. But I go for the gummy candy because, that's just what I prefer. I didn't get any this year because I haven't had I had to work, so I couldn't get to the store to take advantage of that. You know, there's always next year, I guess. Maybe. But yeah, I don't like holidays. I don't like holidays at all. But that being said, the holidays that I dislike the least come at the end of the year because you know, people come together to celebrate different things. That's what I'm here for. I'm here for the coming together. Uh, you know, because most of the time I'm, you know, most of the time I crave for my alone time so that I can recharge and, you know, have my private thoughts. You know, most of those private thoughts are just like, wow, you are lonely and miserable, and then that back and forth occurs. You know, but you know, the end of the year holidays, people come together, and it's fantastic. I love it. You know, unfortunately though, this is going to be the first year where the holidays or the end of year holidays are going to, they're not going to be as good. And you know, there's nothing, well, there's not too much that could be done about it, at least on my end. Um, you know, I couldn't, I physically do not have the power. You know, I did not, and I still presently do not have the power to, you know, stop my family from falling apart. You know, and so you know, anything that would potentially uh, be worth celebrating is gone, and that's really upsetting. You know what? You want to know something that I learned back when I was doing therapy? I had a lot of grief clients, and I say a lot, but more than I expected is what I mean when I say that. But something that I learned while doing therapy, something I had to learn quickly, is, you know, grief might not always hit you immediately, um, but you know, it will eventually, um, and it's not a one-time thing. It's you know, it's something that'll occur, you know, maybe on a regular interval, maybe not. You know, kind of varies from person to person. And having said everything that I just said out loud, you know, and really kind of pondering it, I finally get what, finally understand that. And it's really upsetting. It's really upsetting. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. Well, hey, Revelation, live on stream. Oh well. Like I said, I did not, and presently do not have the power to change it. Maybe I do, yeah, but maybe I will in not necessarily in the the way that I had mentioned, but maybe someday I'll be able to do a little something about it. To bring people together for the holidays. To finally give me something to celebrate. Yes, I'll have to go to work on my day off. I'll have to go to work on my day off tomorrow and maybe the next day, depending on if the inspector decides to show up. But then once it's done, it should be done for a little bit. Then I won't have to worry about it. I won't have to worry about it for a little while. You know, uh, now that we've shifted topics, my melancholy has kind of just gone right back to just fatigue. Fatigue. It's probably gonna be 2030 before I even can think about taking a vacation. Ugh. 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 There we go. Our wrapper's not lit because I got sad. Hmm. I kind of want to talk to my dad about this. Because, you know, it's the holiday season and, he's enjoying his retirement down in Florida. But I wonder if the change to the holidays is on his mind. You know? See what he thinks. I think if I told him what I think, it'd definitely surprise him. But then again, maybe I shouldn't. Don't want to drag his mood down after all. I'll think about it. If the inspector comes tomorrow, then, I'll have Thursday to talk to him about it, and I'll decide that. Either way, I'll give him a call, you know? And if not, well, I guess there's always next week. I guess. Or, I guess I close the weekend so I could, get up before I go to work, have a conversation, see what he's been up to. There was another topic I was going to bring up. I've forgotten now. Let me think. We talked about see, talked about how fame makes people worse. Talked about how I don't like holidays because I work in food service and they suck. Uh, I don't remember. It was something. It was something. I don't know. I don't. Maybe I'll remember later. Uh, hmm. See, now it's woody with a kind of earthiness to it. Now that we've kind of burned down a little bit, it's still got that hint of spice just on the back of the throat. It's much less pronounced now, but also this. I think I need to do box maintenance again. This is a little dry, and I can taste that. But not a bad smoke. Not a not a, a, a fine choice for today's stream. You know, Hmm. Let's see. I'm trying to remember. I'm really trying to remember what the other topic was. Let me think. Let me think. Let me actually think about it. So, holidays suck. Uh, I don't know. I had a similar conversation today with racially impure John about about how fame, you know, ruins people. How it makes how it makes people worse. Makes people worse. I almost remembered. I had it just for just a fragment of a second. I had it. Ah, I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, you know, it's just it's so easy to just you know once the easy path is open, just stay on it. I mean, hell, it's I was oh I remember. It's related to the fame makes people worse thing. I mean, occasionally, not occasionally, but pretty often, I'll be, watching or listening to something on YouTube, and I'll see, there'll be suggested videos on the sidebar because my main page is blank because I turned off history when they implemented it because I don't care for what YouTube just tries to recommend me crap, or at least it would. I know it would, especially with how mixed my interests are. The algorithm would have no idea what to give me, so it just start throwing spaghetti at a wall, at the wall, I guess. But yeah, it seems that I see so many just recommendations for like, oh, such and such, nobody with 1 million subscribers that you've never heard of is like reacting to something. And that seems to be, the thing that people do when they make it. They're like, okay, yeah, I was doing stuff before and now I'm just like a reactor. It sucks. I don't care. I don't care. Like make something real. Make something. Don't, just, you know, don't just sit there and consume and pretend like you're making something. Make something. Get on a live stream and ramble with your viewers. That's what I do. Yeah, I'm not finding success with that, but this YouTube channel was never meant for that. This was just meant for whatever I wanted. And this just so happens to be what I want right now. You know, at different points I've done different things. I mean, I still do gaming and Mountain Dew related stuff, which I actually have a couple of Dew reviews I need to do. I'm behind. Um, I just need to find the time to do them. But make something, damn it. Shit. Yeah, it's hard to find. It's hard to find good quality entertainment. Even harder, it is even harder it is to find good quality entertainers. Who don't immediately, nosedive as soon as they're, in a place that they deem satisfactory to, you know, go on the easy road. Go on the reaction road. You know, I won't. Just because you know, I won't do that because I don't care. And I don't care. I don't care to put what I think, about a specific topic live. I'm not gonna sit here and watch a video and be like, oh my god, like all these fucking people. I'll talk about things. Oh hey, I saw this the other day, and here's what I think about it. I'm not gonna sit here and steal the video for content. I'll just say, hey, I saw this thing the other day. I thought it was really cool. You know, or whatever. I mean, if, I'll talk about the games that I play, which aren't many presently. But hey, I talk about Duet Night Abyss now because it is finally out of beta, and I enjoy it greatly. and the developers of it have improved it quite a bit since the second beta. So it's a lovely experience. It's a lovely experience. You know, it's pretty much just a grind game, and I love that. And it's got a just fantastic melancholy story to go with it. That's quite the breath of fresh air. Yeah, it needs some polish. It needs some polish, but Do at Night Abyss will walk so that other games will run, and it's a good walk. It is a stride, and I think it will only get better as time goes on. You know, up until a certain point. Obviously, everything hits its apex, and then never really, either takes a, either reaches that apex and then reaches a point of stagnancy, or takes a hard nosedive, much like the artists that I, made vagaries to. This wrap relief does not want to burn straight at all. Not at all. That's unfortunate, because see, I've got this little bit right here that's burning on the wrap. You know, the rest of it simply does not want to. Why is this? That's probably because it's, like I said, a little bit dry, as I can taste. Um, that being said, uh, because it's a little bit drier, the flavors are coming through a little bit more strongly. I hmm, I listened to a Cigars Daily video a few weeks ago where the guys were talking about how they maintain their humidors and whatnot, and there was one guy who was speaking. He was talking about how he loves going to the American South because temperatures are higher, and typically because of that, cigars are a little bit drier, and he likes that. And I was a little bit, I was taken a little bit aback by it. I went, a little bit drier is better. You know, I usually try to keep my humidors around, 72 at the maximum. Uh, but mine have drifted down to the mid to low 60s. I understand what he might have been getting at, having smoked a few things out of my boxes, and you know kind of experience, kind of actually pondering that idea alongside smoking. I get what he was getting at, but I think just a little bit more humidity inside the sticks for me. I think that's just a palate difference between me and the guys I was listening to. Not which, I'm not saying that he's wrong, because it's a taste thing. It's going to be different for different people. But yeah, I definitely taste a difference. But then again, it also could be just me getting used to the taste of tobacco. After, well, I think 4 or 5 years of smoking at this point, and just being able to taste through it better. Or maybe, the sticks I've been smoking have a particularly strong flavor profile that comes through better. But I don't know. I think I'll experiment a little bit more, and we'll kind of just see. I'll do my box maintenance as I regularly do, just to see, and we'll see what comes of it. Uh, I was going to do a bit. We might not get to game today because I probably will have to wake up to go to the store and sit around all day, do some cleaning and whatnot. While waiting for the inspector to show up. just to, pass the time, probably off the clock, just so I don't destroy our labor, because our labor has been destroying our bonuses. I haven't gotten a bonus in 3 months. And, we are fixing the problem slowly. Which fixing this problem kind of sucks for the boys, because you know, it necessitates that everyone works less, which I know sounds fantastic, especially especially from the perspective that I have. That sounds great, but less working equals, I mean, these boys, they're to varying degrees, they need money for things, bills and whatnot. They're at different stages in life, and so the need for money is at different points. And so for some boys, they're not going to be, they're not going to be impoverished by having a few hours cut here and there. For some others, it is much more critical to have many hours. And so fixing the labor problem in order to make it so that, I'm not losing money every month uh, is somewhat of a double-edged sword. Because as you know, a lot of my a lot of my management style from the Taco Bell has carried over to this other job. You know, the chief thing among those being, oh, it is my responsibility. It is part of my job to look after my crew and make sure that they're all right, they're good. Which has led to different consequences. Uh that being said, the idea of, well, we have to give the boys fewer hours so that I stop losing money, becomes the issue of, helping myself by, you know, not helping them more, which, is a difficult thing to come to terms with. But that being said, my bills, I have bills. I also have bills as well. You know, some of them, some of these bills are temporary, student loans and whatnot. Some of those are temporary. Others are more persistent, you know, like car insurance. That's a persistent thing that I, will have to consistently pay on for ever, because, it's I don't want to have to deal with the government on that one. Ugh. Of course, it also would help if I wasn't taxed so much, but, hey, I mean, that's just me, I guess. And once some of those temporary bills go away, my need for money goes down, of course. And I might find my cravings for free time to play games and work on my projects, increase. And this comes at odds with, being, working my way up the ladder, as it were, and more and more being expected of me. And once I reach a certain point, a minimum amount of time to work will be, expected of me. You GMs for where I'm working at need to work a minimum of 48 hours in order to, receive their full salary. 48 hours a week. No overtime because it's salary. But 48 hours is rough. You know, the obvious solution that I've come up with for this is just, once I achieve that position, just work 10 hours the 5 days a week I work. So that way, uh, I'm meeting those salary standards, going a little bit over, just to have that little bit of cushion. Maybe I run behind one day, you know not often, not every week, of course. But, maybe I run a little bit behind. Maybe I oversleep or something by, half an hour or some such. I'm woken up by a phone call like, hey, where are you at? And I go, oh, my bad, I'll be there soon. Something occasional like that. Just, that's what that buffer is for. But 50 hours a week sucks. You know, even 40 hours a week really sucks, especially, especially considering my craving for, free time and, resting time and all this stuff, taking care of myself time, all this and that, blah blah blah, yada yada yada, etc. etc. That stuff becomes harder as work demands more. Ugh. But that's just the nature of these things. Although, the way it seems to work is once you achieve a high enough position, the amount of actual work that you put in seems to steadily rise, and then you achieve a certain position, and it kind of, peaks, maybe plateaus, and then depending on the structure of your work, it might, go back down the actual amount of time. Responsibility, of course, keeps, rising as you move up, but the amount of time, might be a more kind of bell curve, I suppose. At least that's the way it works in the business that I'm in. So, keep rising until I hit that point, and then hopefully I can keep getting promoted to beyond it to where we can start hitting the other side of that bell curve where I'm not working so much, but I'm still raking it in, baby. You know, so that way I can play games and stream and make videos and do tend to my projects and whatnot. We'll get there. It's just gonna take I just have to hold out. I just have to keep working diligently so that way I can reach that point. You know. Hopefully I can do it before 40. I kind of want to, I kind of want to actually achieve happiness in my life at some point, preferably before 40, but, I don't know why I chose 40. And I'm not sure. I think I chose that kind of arbitrarily. 30 just does, I guess it's probably because 30 just doesn't seem feasible at this point, given that it's only 2 years away, a year and a half, really, because it's almost December. But we'll try to not work as much and try to achieve happiness before 40 or around 40. You know, we'll see. Just gotta keep keep on the grind, work diligently, so that way you know, be smart about it too. I've already started working on my financial strategy for next year. So that way I can you know, maybe pull ahead a little bit. We will see. We will see. I'm hoping the inspector comes by early, so that way the rest of my day can be freed up so I can actually do a few other, miscellaneous little errands. I think I have them written on my notepad here. Yes, I do. I need to actually cross some of this off because I've done some of this already, actually. That errand has been run. This one is still persisting. That one is still persisting. That one's still there. I need to purchase a new filter for the shop vac, even though the shop vac is currently being used for strictly water-based activities, which, the manual for the shop vac says don't use the filter if you're going to be handling fluids, so it's not an urgent need, but it is something that still needs to be done, among other things. Hmm. If I went back in time, to talk to different iterations of my past self, you know, those different iterations of myself would have their variable opinions of me, and I would be able to bestow upon them the reality of things. You know, for some iterations, dispel their pessimism, and preach realism to them. Which I can already hear myself saying, "Oh, it's not pessimism, it is realism." No, what I did in the past was not realism. All right, it was pessimism that I just, said was realism because I had, because of the outlook. You know, eh. But I think everybody goes through that phase at some point. I had a discussion with the boys today that I never really went through like my stupid teenager phase. You know, any parents in the audience know what I'm talking about. If you've got kids, your kids go through some, their stupid teenager phase where they're, stupid teenagers. I never really went through that. And then I also never really went through my hedonistic young adult phase, you know, which, kind of, which has its ups and downs. I was talking with racially impure John actually about the hedonistic young adult phase, and he expressed regret for his hedonistic young adult phase, and you know obviously by contrast I expressed that I never went through it, and he said, well, that's good, that's good that you didn't do that, because it's not worth it. And without using the same words, but bringing it up again, I did the better loved than lost argument. Not in those exact words, but you know, it was essentially that point, which kind of when we have clashes on our on the when comparing our lives to each other's, because we him and I open on Monday and Tuesday, and it's just us for most of the day. When we have clashes like that, where it's like, okay, see, the differences between the two of us here is, you know, you you know you lived to have regrets, while my regret is not living. And he expresses envy for not having, not for he expresses envy for that, while I express envy for what he has. And we kind of reach an impasse every single time, which is understandable. you know trying to walk a mile in the other man's shoes, and we both find the other man's shoes to be more comfortable, at least the idea of it. And that's kind of the conclusion that we both have come to. And then again, I really shouldn't speak for him. That's the conclusion that I've come to, at least. Hmm. Is I would have loved to have loved and lost, as opposed to have, as opposed to the reality, which is to have never loved, which is to, use the argument, but not in those exact words, of course. But say la vie, I suppose. You know, different people have different experiences, and this leads to different people having different regrets and different desires for the past that didn't pan out. And I'm looping. Got a little greedy with the draw there. Ooh. Ooh. Well, I think I might put this one in the black box because it's significantly more moisturized, to kind of loosen this up and maybe take care of the burn issue here. I also do need to get to bed, just in case I have to wake up for, I will have to wake up for it, but as to when, who knows? I'll wait for the call, I guess. You know, I wish I could automate a text message to where it's like, okay, at 10:30, send this text. Maybe I can figure that out. Maybe Android allows that to happen, so that way I can, sleep, not set an alarm, and just have a phone call be my wake up call, quite literally in this instance, and then just get up and go. Yeah, I have been resting well though these past few days. I think it was I think it was Saturday. It was either Saturday or Sunday. I had gotten back here. It was Sunday. It was Sunday. I'd gotten back here, and just by 11 o'clock, I'd eaten dinner, I had settled down, this and that, and my battery just died. My battery just died. So I thought, okay, you know what? What? I'm gonna get up at 9:30. It's 11. I can sleep 10 hours. It's fine. And so I just, crawled under my blankets, nestled into my cocoon, put my pillow over my face as I do now, and you know, slept really well. What I did not consider was the time change. I don't keep track of that. So we rolled an hour back, right? And so because of that, I was laying there in my bed, in kind of this half sleep state because it was the time that it was the time that I had normally, kind of gotten used to getting up, in reality. But if you look at the actual clock, it's not. Because I haven't even adjusted my watch really, uh, which I don't wear it often, so I don't see the need right now. But yeah, I was kind of just laying there in this half sleep state, right? And I fell back into a deep sleep, and then my alarm went off, and I got up. I sat here for a second. I went, oh, I feel pretty good. I feel great. And then went about my day. And then, yeah, the boys told me, oh, yeah, the whole time change thing, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. I went, oh, that's why I feel really, really good. I got an extra hour without even realizing it. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. It was great. It was good stuff. Yeah, what? I'm gonna let this. We're gonna let this go. I'm gonna put it in the box, and you know, we'll get some rest because I do have to get up and prepare for the inspector. Hopefully, hopefully things are smooth. Hopefully, this isn't like, hopefully this isn't like a razor where it, is quick, but it hurts a lot. And then also hopefully it's not, Chinese water torture like it was during the last inspection, where the inspector was there for hours because he showed up at the worst possible time, and as a result things got dragged out. But thank you all for sitting here listening to me, you know, ramble about how fame makes people worse, and how you know the holidays are not worth celebrating to food service people because the customer base is much more annoying than normal. Still a little bit of that Taco Bell manager. I still have that outlook. That is one thing that I have not shed. I didn't shed the anger all the way off. I shed a lot of it. Um, when I was sitting here on Halloween in my Taco Bell manager uniform, I was just at a base simmer just by wearing that uniform. And then as memories kind of flowed into me, you know that simmer kind of at times would bubble up just a little bit more. And never got out of control, of course. I never got as angry as I just sitting here in my uniform. I didn't get as angry as I was actually on the line at Taco Bell. But I was at a simmer. I was definitely simmering. But some things just don't go away that easily. Some of those being general disdain for people being unnecessarily frivolous, as it were. That's what I think I said this last time. I will never believe economists when they say, "Oh, the economy is really bad right now. People are struggling and money's short." When fast food collapses and people in giant diesel trucks aren't idling every chance that they get, because I guess fuel isn't expensive enough, then I will believe that things are bad. But until then, I will remain skeptical. I think I said that last time. But again, thank you all for sitting with me, listening to me, ramble and loop and blah blah blah, yada yada yada, this and that. And until then, I will see you all next time.